Hello and welcome to the latest MK Web, MK Dons sports podcast with myself, Dan Palmer, as usual, and obviously Scott Kirk.
All
right. Yeah, not bad. Well, I've got plenty to talk about. It's still only August. But we've already beaten AFC Wimbledon and we've drawn Manchester United in the cup at home. It's going to be sold out at Stadium MK. It's an incredible start to the 2014-2015 season.
It's remarkable. Just in terms of excitement for the start of the season, you couldn't really ask for more. A lot of teams probably won't get this much excitement in an entire year, never mind in the first month. So it's just fantastic, and I mean, not just in those cup games, though. The league games have been quite dramatic as well. 2-0 down against Gillingham, and when the season began, you're thinking, oh God, what's going to happen this season here for 2-0 down on to no disrespect to them, but you know what I mean. You wonder at that stage, and then came back to win that, and great win at Chesterfield, of course, and shame about Peterborough, but so they've been dramatic games as well. The AFC games, obviously, that was just a brilliant win, is that? And another heel to get the ball rolling. That all
it's incredible, really, isn't it? The first meeting between the two rivals, if you like, John Turnbull clinching it with a cheeky little back heel, and then Carl McFadden doing exactly the same thing. It's the heel of God too. It's ridiculous, really.
It's just you couldn't make it up.
No,
you really couldn't make it up, and for it to happen once is cheeky enough. But if you're an AFC supporter and your last effectively 2 goals against MK Dons have been because someone's healed it in of all the body parts as well. The heel is really slightly, isn't it? So, but great. It was a great atmosphere in the game that day. I was surprised because what initially surprised me, people didn't seem as bothered about this one really. Obviously, you want to make sure you beat AFC, but there was nowhere near as many people as
no, the hype was down, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it wasn't even on Sky, which shocked me at the time, to be honest, when it wasn't on TV. I thought that would have been an obvious candidate to be on TV, but it wasn't. And so there was a lot less hype, and there were a few nationals there, but in terms of media, but it wasn't the same sort of hype as before. It was just a matter of get the job done, really. And I think AFC will do all right this season. Actually, to be fair, they started pretty well, and they look like a decent team. In all fairness to them. So but great win, and then what a draw that is.
Yeah,
you couldn't ask for much more.
I mean, I've already seen the queues stretching around the stadium. It's going to be completely sold out. It's great, isn't it? The new tier hasn't been in. The new top tier hasn't been in that long, really, in the grand scheme of things, and it's going to be, showing off to its full potential. Every seat filled in front of the Sky Sports cameras. I think Destination MK have told MK Web £2 million to the city. So it's just for the club and Milton Keynes in general. It's an unbelievable draw. It's going to be a great occasion on Tuesday night.
Oh, it's a dream draw, and I must admit, obviously, I thought the game would be popular, but the queues on Tuesday morning in particular, I would never have expected that. I thought it'd be popular. Don't get me wrong. I thought the stadium would sell out, but for 9,000 tickets were sold on one day, which is just, that's what I think they're allowed because of the segregation rules. I think it's around 29,000, 30,000 they're allowed to sell. So they've effectively sold a third of the stadium in one day, which is quite. They had to shut all the phone lines and stuff like that. It's like I said this in my programme notes for this Saturday's match programme as well. It's almost like there's a new Xbox out or a PlayStation out. There's that sort of mentality, fans camping outside sort of stuff, and you just don't expect it for a football game, really. It's just remarkable how the people of Milton Keynes have really taken to this fixture. It's absolutely brilliant, and it's going to be fantastic. Walking into that stadium and seeing it full is just going to be, it wouldn't surprise me if Pete Winkle would shed a tear at that point, because that is his dream, to see that stadium full. And, it's going to be, we usually see it 7,000 or 8,000. So, the only time we saw it full really last season was when all the away fans were bringing the fans. Of course, it's probably going to be mainly Man U fans in there, I would imagine, on Saturday. But it's a real occasion for the city as well. Like you said, the money it brings in as well. I mean, £2 million, that's so much money, to bring into the city. It's just, and you can really, when you're around in Milton Keynes, you can feel the buzz that game is generating. You know, it's everyone is just absolutely buzzing for that game, and you know that's the level Dons want to be reaching in the much longer term. And you know, like, this is the first time like a big club is coming to Milton Keynes. You know, in terms of top 4 European sides, and you know, which is hard for me to say about Man U because I'm a Leeds fan, but you know, it's a great occasion for the city, and you know, this is the sort of game which, you know, hopefully in 10, 15, 20 years time, or hopefully shorter than that, that Dons will be playing every game. Another benefit with the game, of course, is that Carl's hoping to get defender money.
Well, that's right. It could, you know, it could have an impact on the league campaign if the money's invested well back into the team.
So I mean, it's just, I mean, the benefits are just everywhere to be playing this team. You know, to be playing Man U, and a defender is needed. I mean, I've been very impressed with Dons going forward. They look really good, and with Samir Carruthers to come back as well. You know, the 3 strikers look really good. I think Benny Kafobe sort of, I can imagine him being a bit of a frustrating type. He scored a brilliant goal on Tuesday night. That was his hardest one, so I can imagine him being slightly frustrated at times. But you know, the defenders look like they were struggling to keep their hands on him.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then just going forward, Dons just looks superb. It's a shame that Danny Green picked up an injury because his crossing is just pinpoint. I mean, in that first game, to me, he had a decent game, but then you sort of think he got 3 assists, so it's not a bad game really.
No.
But yeah, I mean, it was just, he is pinpoint there, and the Dons have needed that, and they've needed a good striker to finish him off, and I think they've got, you know, Griganophobia off the mark, which is really important for a striker, and I'm sure. You know, Carl's going to want Tom Hitchcock to get off the mark when he gives him his chance, of course. But,
it's almost like the opposite to last season. So many times we were saying no strikers. We had that awful run at home without scoring a goal, and but now, you know, banging them in 4 against Gillingham, 3 against AFC. You know, the first couple of league games, we're sort of worried about the defence, like conceding a couple of times against Gillingham, 3 times against Peterborough. So it's important, I think, to get a clean sheet against Chesterfield midweek in the 1-0 win. I know perhaps riding our luck a little bit with a couple of missed chances from the Spy.
There was. I mean, it was a weird game that on Tuesday night because it was the total opposite for what Dons fans are used to. Normally, we're used to seeing Dons at Stadium MK on the ball, you know, chance after chance after chance we saw last season, and then they're going 0-0, and you're thinking, well, should have really scored there. And then it'd be like, you know, Gillingham at home rings a bell. Carlisle at home. It was that sort of, both of those games were sort of battering them, and then they win 1-0 and just defend the lead. And it was quite nice to see Dons actually do that.
You know, that's a sign of a good team, they say, isn't it? Winning those games.
Definitely. I mean, the defence was excellent on Tuesday, and we'll have to see how David Martin's doing. But Ian McLaughlin didn't actually have that much to do, I didn't think. But he looked a bit more, to me, he looked a little bit unconfident last season, Ian McLaughlin, and he looked to be just sort of, it looks like he's got a bit more confidence about him this season, which, I mean, you'll know more about how he started with Dons, because he started really well, didn't he? So,
he had a good run in the sides. Season before last, and you know, a couple of impressive loan spells away at Football League clubs. So I think he'll be very frustrated. I think for me, not being in the side. I was actually surprised that he didn't leave in the summer. I thought he'd leave, try and get some first team football, but you know, he's still there and still fighting for his spot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with David Martin. I think David Martin is still the number 1 for me at the moment. He's usually quite solid, and you know, you could blame him if you wanted for it was probably his fault for one of the Peterborough goals, but you know, still the number 1 for me, I think. But McLaughlin did quite well. You know, he looked commanding. He looked a lot more assured of himself than when I saw him at Dons last season. When he sort of played the odd game or 2 early on. So that's a really good sign. But I think a defender is needed, especially if Lee Hodgson's going to be out now. That's obviously Baldock can come in at right back. That's no problem. But a defender is definitely needed just to get that extra covering. Because you look at the midfield, really strong, going forward, really strong, but just a couple of mistakes at the back again at the moment, and they need to be ironed out. And you know, if they can sort that those mistakes out and bring another defender in, you're looking at a really, really strong team. You know, it's not a massively strengthened depth side, I would say, but the starting 11 which Cal's got at his disposal is very, very good, and much better than last season, I think.
So what we expected him from Man United then, obviously Louis van Gaal's third game in English football, so that's another sort of interesting twist to the tie. Do you think he's going to play a strong 11, or is he going to put the kids out, put the reserves out?
My gut feeling is that, which could be completely wrong, because I guess it depends how they do this weekend as well. I mean, if they lose that, they're gonna.
Yeah, if they lose again this weekend, and he hasn't got a victory as Man United manager coming to Stadium MK, so you think, will he play a strong team just to get himself up and running? Yeah.
I mean,
you never know.
My gut feeling would be that he's going to play a couple of kids. I think it's Wilson who's going to play it for him. He's already done that in the last game. Lingard were playing, and I've just forgot one of the defenders. I think he was a young lad as well. I think he'll start a few kids. I think he's going to say that the league campaign is the most important thing, and I don't think he's going to be too bothered about the cup. That's just my gut feeling with it. You know, but I think, to be honest, even Man United's kids would probably finish securely mid-table in the Premier League, or you know, there. So you know, even if it is the kids playing, it's going to be so hard. You know, I mean, this isn't just playing a Premier League team. This is one of the higher echelons of the Premier League. So it's you know, Premier League's a league within a league almost at the top there, and you know, it's going to be. I can't see Don's getting anything out of it. If we can get it to extra time, it's a great achievement. That.
I mean, United they have had history of losing League Cup games to lower league sides over the last decade or so. I remember Southend and York beating an under-strength United teams, if you like. So you know, there's a chance there, a very slim chance. I think.
I mean, the great thing for Don, they've got absolutely nothing to lose, and Don's play well against good teams.
They do,
you know, they've raised the games for that. We saw them play really well against Wigan last season. They did really well against Sunderland in the same stage of the Capital One Cup last season. You know, they've raised the games for those big teams. You know, Don's never played a bigger team than Man U. So you know, it's going to be on that front. That's going to be really interesting as well to see. I mean, Carl might want to name a few changes there. You never know, do you? So I can't see him ringing the changes.
No.
But you know,
but everyone's going to want to play in that. That game, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They're going to be banging on his door, which is why you feel a bit bad for Lee Hudson if he's going to be out for all that. But yeah, it's going to be to see the stadium full. Really, is going to be, you know, when you go there every week and all you've ever seen with the stadium is the potential. I think really. Yeah. And to actually see it full and to see it properly being used, every seat full, is just going to be a fantastic occasion. And you know, hopefully, and that's almost like a barometer of this is what you can do if you get success, you know. And
hopefully, you know, some of the people who are perhaps coming along for the first time will, you know, come back every now and again. I've heard a few people they moan about, you know, people coming out for the big games and then never appearing again. But you know, you sort of need that bandwagon every now and again because it helps boost the attendances long term. Yeah. You know, I'm sure some people get the bug for football and going onto the stadium and will come along. More regularly, and I think they should be, you know, embraced, these supporters and welcomed.
Well, the only way you're going to expand a football club is by trying to attract those fans. You know, like the more fickle fans, if you like. Yeah,
you're going to get some floaters, aren't you?
Yeah, you are. Like every. Well, that will be the same, I think, with every business. I mean, football's weird like this because, you know, if you go to the cinema and say there's a terrible film on at the cinema, do you want to go see it? Yeah. No one's going to, you know, but yet with football, because there's that tribal element to football, you know, people will. It's weird, really, that you get 7,000 or 8,000 fans because, you know, like at times last season when there's no goals being scored, you know. But yeah, games like this can just attract those people in, and you've got to, as frustrating as it can be for your hardcore fan, you know, you've got to try and attract those in. It's the only way to build the club up, and you know, whether you like it or not, success is the only way you can properly build football teams up. You know, every club in England will vouch for that. So look how many fans Swansea are going to Swansea. I bet nowhere near that many fans were going down to watch Swansea when they were in League Two. So you know, so it's the level you're at which can really attract the people in, and yeah, if it can attract a few more fans, that's great. But they've got to be able to play the football and deliver the success to keep those fans. You know, like any other entertainment industry, I think if they're not entertained enough and if they're not playing well and not winning, people won't go. So it's, you know, I think it's one of those. But yeah, if it can attract a few people, then that's going to be amazing for the long term of the club. And you never know, there could be the next Dele Alli sat in the crowd, couldn't they? You know, that's the dream sort of thing with games like this, don't you? So
you mentioned Dele Alli, like obviously he keeps getting linked with big clubs. You know, if he plays well against Man United, then he's right in the shop window, isn't it? So it could work against Dons in that way.
I think Carl would be quite happy if Dele had a couple of quiet games now.
Yeah.
You know, like if he had a bit of a disaster against Coventry, he'd probably quite like it because you know there's. You know, I think there's probably been a couple of bids for I think there've been a couple of bids for him, which I think have been rejected already. So, you know, they're clearly, obviously, sticking to the valuation of him, which is great. And you know, he's just a monster now. He's grown more in the summer, and he's enormous. You can imagine him being like a Yaya Toure. I really can in the future if he keeps his development going. And, you know, he could be a brilliant player for England. But yeah, I mean, I think it'll help him if he can have another at least half season at League One, getting that. You know, like we've said about Brendan Galloway, like what experience is he really gonna get from playing in the under-21s? You know, it's not the same sort of ferocity of competition. Whereas when you're in League One, you're fighting to get promoted. You know, you're gonna get that sort of that ferocity of competition, which you can't really replicate, I don't think, and which you need the experience of. It's all well and good playing around other players who are very good, but if you're not, you know, if they're not really bothered about the game, then it's not really a true reflection of where you need to. They're going to go in their career. So I'd like to think Dele will stay there, and they're going to try and hold out for him. But then you never know; it could be one of those 2 hours left of the transfer window and a £8 million bid. You never know, do you? So yeah, it'd be great to keep him because. There's only really Mark Randall, and they need a swift replacement and a very good replacement for Dele Alli. He's going to be a massive hole to fill if they do get rid of him.
Yeah, just finally, then we've got Coventry on Saturday. It's almost an afterthought, even though it's this weekend. But and I think about the Chesterfield win. It was very important after the Peterborough defeat. It's now 6 points out of the first 9. It could have been, say, 3 points out of the first 9, and already 6 points behind the early pace setters. It seems stupid talking like that at this stage of the season, but we'd have been playing catch up already. But now 4th in the table. I think it is. Hopefully everyone can stay focused for Coventry, and they're going to be coming to Milton Keynes on the back of the news that they're returning to their Ricoh Arena home after playing in Northampton for over a year. So you imagine their club's going to be buoyant. It's not a great time to play, and they'll probably bring a lot of fans down as well. It's an important game, you know, and you put United to one side for a second. As difficult as that is.
It's probably the worst time to play them, to be honest. I mean, with that news about them going back to the stadium, I mean, like you say, they're just going to be really buoyant. So, you know, but I think I was speaking to Richie Barker, was it Monday, and he was very sort of the words Man United are banned and that sort of stuff. I think they're going to be keeping the feet. We're going to try and keep the feet on the floor. You wonder how when you saw that Ben Reeves video on Instagram when they're going mental about the road. But it's so important. And Richie was saying on that occasion that there's no point playing Man United if you're 17th in the league.
Yeah, it's fun.
So you know, it's I think he's done a good job of that. They've proved that already with the Chesterfield win because that could have really distracted them for that.
They have done, they have done.
So they've done it once already, and it's just a matter of, but can they do it again, I guess? And you know, because it's getting nearer and nearer. There's only a few days now until that game. But I think Richie Barker and Carl will be really focusing, and I think they might even be able to use it. They might be able to say, if you want to start against Man U, you've got to play.
Yeah, well, that's it. As you know, people are playing for their places, aren't they?
Yeah, really.
That's what Carl will be saying in the dressing room before that game. I'm absolutely certain of that.
So, but it's going to be intriguing, and it's a hard one to call, I think, on Saturday, because of that Man U carrot. Is it the carrot?
Yeah,
or is it sort of too much of a distraction? Too much of a carrot.
Is there also a concern people perhaps not going all out because they don't want to injure themselves before?
But United
very good point miss the game. All sorts of things. I
mean, that wouldn't surprise me. You've just seen what's happened to Lee Hodgson. He's got injured. He's probably going to miss that game now. Will another player be thinking, oh, I'm not going to go into that tackle. You know, so it's a really good point now.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't like to call Coventry because I think it depends how the mentality is over this Man U stuff, and you know, I think they'll be very professional about it. I think I get that opinion. But yeah, with Coventry, on the back of that news, like you say, that they're going to be back at the home, and with all the distractions going on for Dons, I think this is the worst time they could possibly be playing Coventry. You know, you can imagine if you're a player thinking, God, imagine when you're coming out on Saturday thinking, just imagine what it's going to be like on Tuesday night. So many distractions, and I think it could be a tough one on Saturday, to be honest.
Okay, well, we'll wait and see. Thanks so much for listening. Enjoy the United game if you're going, and we'll see you soon. Cheers. Bye.